Hello and welcome back to another episode of Power Rangers Lore. Today we're going to discuss who is this new threat in Power Rangers universe, the comic book series. Go, go, Power Rangers! So who is this new threat that is going to be showing up in Power Rangers universe? Well, we don't know for certain, but I have some good speculation of what's going to happen and who it might be. Now, if you look very carefully at the spoilers we've gotten so far, it's a grand total of 4 whole pages. It doesn't tell us much, it just shows us a guy who looks like the white Phantom Ranger, essentially. He's got the same thing, it's like a biosuit as he enters this cross-dimensional portal, probably created by the Morphing Masters, or by whatever alien race that is working with him. And he walks through, sees the morphing grid off in the distance, and he goes like, oh my god, that probably leads to Power Ranger World, or Power World as he calls them, and then suddenly feels a dark force behind him, looks back and sees this grave, massive threat. It's not really defined exactly what it looks like, but it looks very familiar, and I did some research here and there and started deep diving as much as I possibly could. And there's not much to be found, but the only one that I found very similar that is also created in for the comics that has a very similar form to it is that of Dark Spectre himself. Yes, Dark Spectre, which would make sense, is possibly the new threat, or new old threat, that we're going to see, because it does a time skip immediately of 594 or 98 years, somewhere around that number of years jumping there. And we know the alien species is very old, but we don't know what's going on there. We know that Dark Spectre has a plan of at least 10,000 years old, because he tried to convert Rita into his human sacrifice, apparently, into bringing him into this world. So it's very interesting there. You can just tell by, I'll bring out multiple pictures here, but you can tell kind of like the art style here that we show. He's a very shadowy, he doesn't have any substance as of yet. But as you go further on, you can see he has more substance in the comics, where it shows him drawn up, taking more and more form. We don't have the true magma-like form that he has in the live-action series, but we do have more and more details that basically that could possibly be him. He is the overall major threat that the entire series of Power Rangers comic have been playing off of. He has barely been shown at all, just basically talk, a little bullet point versions on the comic book pages. We don't actually see what he looks like yet from Astronomer's point of view, or anyone else's. Not even most of the characters of Power Rangers know who the heck he is currently, because he's just showing up. The only person who knows that he's basically free at this point is some villains, as well as I believe the true Phantom Ranger, who's basically going, he's broken free, they've done a ritual. So it's pretty interesting what's going on there. We don't know for certain what his overall plans are with the white Phantom Ranger, or if that's how he uses to corrupt the Rangers per se for later on. We know he has some other connection, because he created the Psycho Rangers from himself, and he created his own Psycho Green Ranger from a Ranger itself by, I don't know, like, basically giving him powers and telling him to kill his own crew of Rangers. So it's pretty interesting to see what we would have for the future. What do you guys think? Do you think this is Dark Spectre? Someone really wanted to have Mondo the Magician, and I looked into that, and it just doesn't work out currently. They could make him a bigger threat in the comics, but I don't think they will, sadly. And the way how it looks, it just looks like Dark Spectre. And I'd be perfectly fine with it, them dealing with Dark Spectre and going more into his lore and separating what is going on the other side, because all we know is that Dark Spectre is an interdimensional demon, and he could be so much more of a graver threat than what we got in the comics. Now, mind you, in the TV show, he was a grave threat, but we could get so much more from the comics that could explain more background story, where he came from exactly, why he's such a grave threat, and just how powerful he truly is. Seeing him like destroy a world with like a swish of his hand would be so like cool. Him just crushing it in his like claws. I would be like going, okay, this is pretty badass. So let me know, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll keep you more updated with the future. And may the power protect you always.